In January, we did my annual 31 Days to a More Effective Compliance program where we looked at one thing you could do each day. Well, we're back with the Compliance Tip of the Day. This is the podcast where we bring you daily insights and practical advice on navigating the ever-evolving landscape of compliance requirements. Whether you're a seasoned compliance professional or just starting your journey, my aim in this podcast is to provide you with a bite-sized, actionable tip to help you stay on top of your compliance game. In the chaotic world of 2025 and beyond, compliance will become even more important, and you staying on top of your game will help your company move forward. Today on the Compliance Tip of the Day, we take up the role of board oversight of internal controls. So how can a board fulfill its obligations as oversight of internal controls? Well, it clearly has a role as laid out by the hallmarks of an effective compliance program, where there are two specific references of the obligation of a board in a best practice compliance program. One, within the business organization, compliance begins with the board of directors and senior executives, setting the proper tone for the rest of the organization. And two, the second is found in Hallmark 3, Oversight, Autonomy, and Resources, which says the CCO should have direct access to the organization's governing authority, such as board of directors and committees of the board of directors or committees. Under the U.S. sentencing guidelines, boards must exercise reasonable oversight on the effectiveness of a company's compliance program. The DOJ prosecution standards pose the following queries. Do the directors exercise independent review of a company's compliance program, and are the directors provided information sufficient to enable the exercise of independent judgment? The DOJ's remarks drive home the absolute requirement for board participation in any best practices compliance program, or even effective anti-corruption compliance program. A board must not only ensure there is corporate compliance program in place, but also actively oversee that function. But it is more than simply having a compliance program in place. There is the affirmative duty to ask tough questions. The board must exercise appropriate authority of the compliance program and indeed the compliance function. The board needs to ask the hard questions and be fully informed of the company's overall strategy going forward. Further, if a company's business plan includes a high-risk proposition, there should be additional oversight. Lawyers often speak to and advise boards on their legal obligations. If a board's oversight is to be an effective financial control under SOX, that also includes effective compliance controls. Failure to do so may result in something far worse than bad governance. It may lead to internal control violations, which could even form the basis of an independent FCPA violation. A company must not only have a corporate compliance program in place, but it also must actively oversee that function. A board failure to perform these functions may lead to independent liability of a board for its failure to perform its allotted task in an effective compliance program. There are 5 general internal controls for a board or board subcommittee. Number 1, risk assessment. A board should assess a company's risks. 2, corporate compliance policy and code of conduct. The board should have an overall guidance document which will inform the company employees of its expectations. 3, implementing procedures. A board should determine if there are procedures to implement a compliance program. Training. There are 2 levels of training: board training for compliance and training on their board's role, and 5, monitoring compliance going forward. So what are today's 3 key takeaways? Number 1, board oversight over the compliance function is a separate internal control, so document and use it. 2, boards must perform oversight over your company's internal controls separate and apart from the above. And 3, does your board use the 5 principles for involvement in internal controls on a go-forward basis? One of the things that I'm happy to do for you, the compliance profession, is if you have a question or a series of questions you would like some compliance tips on, I'm happy to take any requests that you might want, certainly anonymize them, and give you a quick tip. Either one quick tip or maybe a week's worth of quick tips. So if you have any tips you want about your compliance program, you can shoot me an email at tfox@tfoxlaw.com. This podcast was created and produced with the assistance of AI.